Alright, so our last one, we're going to actually apply the half angle formulas. So what we've been given is half of an angle that we actually know how to work with. So that's why it's called the half angle. So the first step is to take your half angle, multiply it by 2, and find an angle that you can actually work with. So our formulas have alpha over 2. Well, we're going to find alpha by multiplying my original angle by 2. So 22.5 times 2 gives me 45. So I'm going to say we're having cosine of 45 over 2. Now if you look, this is no different than the problem I started with, because 45 divided by 2 is 22.5. Now we're going to go through, and we have to look at the original angle that we were dealing with. So that's going to determine if it's a plus or a minus. 22.5 degrees falls in my first quadrant. Cosine is positive, so I'm going to put my positive. Big square root, we always have our 1, plus cosine of alpha, and remember alpha is 45, and if you accidentally put 22.5 you would not be able to do it from the unit circle, so that's a good reminder, divided by 2. Simplify it, so we have our positive. You don't need it, but I always put it in there just so I don't lose it. 1 plus cosine of 45 is radical 2 over 2 over 2. We all should be pretty good at common denominators by now, so this is like 1 over 1. So if I get a common denominator, we're going to get square root of 2 plus radical 2 over 2 divided by 2. Dividing fractions means multiplied by the reciprocal, so I'm going to end up with the square root of 2 plus radical 2 over 4. The only thing I can do here is simplify the square root of 4, so my final answer would be square root of 2 plus radical 2 over 2. Then if we go through and we want to do a sine value, now this one's in radians, so a little bit tougher. We're going to do the same process. We're going to do sine of alpha over 2. We have to find alpha, so you're going to take your angle, 9 pi over 8, and just double it. Find what 2 times 1, or what 2 over 1 is when you multiply that together. We get 18 pi over 8. If you were to simplify that, we would get 9 pi over 4. It is a unit circle value. It's just going around the circle more than once. So I'm going to plug that in. We've got sine of 9 pi over 4 divided by 2. And if you're not sure, double check. Make sure that if you multiply by the reciprocal, you get your original. We're going to go through. We're going to figure out, is it positive or negative? So go to your original angle. 9 pi over 8. Well, if remember graphing radians, this would be 8 pi over 8. So 9 pi over 8 is actually falling in the third quadrant where sine is negative. Big square root. And this time we're going to do the same process, the same format with the cosine, but your formula has a 1 minus cosine of alpha. So alpha is 9 pi over 4 divided by 2. We have the negative square root of 1 minus, now 9 pi over 4 is going to actually fall in the first quadrant. So cosine there is going to be radical 2 over 2 over 2. Not 2 right there. And if we go through and simplify it, if you look, the numbers are the same as what we had over here, it's just we have a subtraction. So my final answer will be negative radical 2 minus radical 2 all over 2.